Hey everybody, welcome to Dad Casual, where full-time dads and casual gamers come together to discuss everything we love about the games we wish we had more time to play. Thanks for being here. If you would, please take a moment to follow and subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and your podcast platform of choice, and maybe even leave us a review. And if you ever have any questions, topics, or thoughts, feel free to email dadcasualpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And without further ado, this is Dad Casual.
Got him.
Did I say it?
You did.
Like if I did,
subtle.
It was a very light. It definitely.
Just a little right at the end. Is that you, Preston?
Oh my goodness!
I did not type that.
Oh, all right. So I'm gonna say that the laughter of that needs to come right after. So howdy doody, everybody! Welcome to episode 25 of Dad Casual. Oh my gosh. If you were listening, they wrote in my intro, without further ado, in like Ron Burgundy, I read the teleprompter. We got a lot of fun news to talk about this week. It's going to be a great show. We're going to talk about the release of Hogwarts Legacy. We're going to talk about, in some early reviews, we're going to talk about how the big three are out of E3. We're going to talk about a train wreck of PR and news coming from the game the day before. Also, the Switch breaks a big record, and there's a Nintendo Direct coming soon. So lots of news, lots of things to talk about. I'm excited to get into it. But first, we got to introduce the boys. Houston Dragna.
It's Leviosa.
Preston Jensen.
It's the dude.
And it's me, a Mario. No, Andy Bond. What's up, guys?
Bro, speaking of Mario, did you see the SNL skit?
The Mariokart skit.
Yes.
Last from with Pedro Pascal. Dude, they went way too hard on that thing.
That was amazing.
I'm always amazed at like how quick they put that stuff together and like
dude, for real.
I mean,
have y'all seen the behind the scenes of an edit from an SNL?
I mean, it's just a dude working furiously.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just one guy.
No,
they have one editor.
It is.
It is. It's one dude, and he's going crazy.
And a render farm.
Yeah, and I'm sure he has colorists and extra people, but like, yeah, he's going nuts.
Shout out to that guy.
Shout out to SNL guy.
Yes.
But yeah, guys, let's get right into it this week. I'm really excited. What have you guys been playing? Have you guys had I actually had a lot of game time this last week. What about you guys?
Same. I re-downloaded a game because of The Last of Us. I re-downloaded Days Gone.
That's awesome.
Nice. Never played that one.
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it didn't get better, bigger reviews. Like, the story's good. It's a pretty game. It's, I mean, I like it a lot.
I'm going to be curious when you're done, because it seemed to only get middling reviews, and I never even really. Maybe because I had already like done The Last of Us. I wasn't ready for a zombie game. That's really all it is, I think.
Yeah, I think that came out around the same time, right?
Maybe The Last of Us 2, Part 2.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Pretty close to that. It was like a Sekiro, Death Stranding. I was looking it up while you were talking. Resident Evil 2 remake.
Is it Bend Studio?
Yes, it's Bend, Sony Bend, Oregon.
Yeah. So the Metacritic user score was an 8.4. So a pretty good.
Yeah.
Good score. The meta score was a 71. So, I don't know. It's been fun. Played some Fortnite, and I got to the title screen of Hogwarts Legacy.
Hey-o. Cool. Save that for later.
We're going to talk about that in a second. Okay, so just one quick thing I want to ask about Days Gone. I've heard one criticism I've heard is that you like never feel like you can drive the motorcycle very fast. Like you're always like locked at 35 miles an hour. Is that true?
Yeah, so it's either go or don't. So yeah, I would I would say it's not like GTA where I can soup it up or get a different car or whatever. Like I can't move across the map that fast.
What I mean though is like, can you even like get away from the zombies that fast on the motorcycle?
Some zombies.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I definitely want to hear you. How far are you? Do you think?
So I bought it when it originally came out.
Oh, you did?
And played hours upon hours. So I've played a good portion of it. I just re-downloaded it because I was like, The Last of Us, I need something zombie.
Yeah. So when you said this the other day, I thought you had downloaded it maybe because, and we didn't include this in our news, but I guess I can just drop it here now. PlayStation Plus Collection, all the games that are coming with PS5 is going away. Now, if you have a PS5 between now and I think it's May, you can download all the games and like claim them. So as long as you have PS Plus, you'll still have them. But if you get a PS5 in July, you're not going to get all those games for free, which is totally a bummer. And I honestly don't really understand the decision, but I thought because Days Gone was on there, that was the reason maybe you were like, I need to play a game on this list.
That was the reason I I was looking at that list.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, oh yeah, that was a fun game. And I wanted a good zombie game. So, yeah. That's what I've been playing.
It's good to hear that it's fun.
Nice. Houston, how about you? What have you been doing, man?
So this week's been a bit rough. Our whole family got sick, and my car died again, kind of like for real this time, and I had to spend a bunch of money. And so we fixed it up, and I'm going to be looking for a new car soon. So that's part of it. But I haven't played anything new. I've been just hammering away on Risk of Rain, like getting achievements and stuff.
I saw you playing last night when I was waiting.
Dude, one of y'all needs to get that game so we can play together.
Okay.
It's honestly so fun.
It'll happen. Yeah. Okay.
It's a roguelike, so it's like infinite replayability. Every playthrough is a little different. It's challenging. I don't know.
Is it available on PS Plus or?
No, you have to. I think it's only paid. It's I haven't seen it go on sale in a while. It's usually around $30.
Gotcha. What's the name of it?
Risk of Rain 2. Talked about it like a bajillion times in the podcast. I won't beat y'all to death with it. But it's very fun. So that's all I've been playing lately, just because this week's been super hectic.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
All good. And apologies for my stuffiness. Bear with me.
Yeah. Maybe one day we will have millions and millions of followers, and I will be able to say things like, hey, let's get the community together to get Houston a new car, and boom, you'll have a Bugatti or something.
There we go. Boom. Claiming it now.
If anybody out there is listening that wants to donate a Bugatti to Houston Dragnet.
Or just like a Camry, just like a new Civic, Camry, that'd be great.
A 1998 Honda Civic with a spoiler that like it's not really even fast enough to need the spoiler, but it's just for looks.
Yes, it's plastic.
Yep.
Yes, 100%. All right.
Well, I've actually, like I said, I've been playing some games lately, actually. So the one that I want to talk about for sure is so It Takes Two. We've talked about a little already on the podcast. But I actually had some fun game time this last weekend, and even my son had a sick day this week, and I ended up at lunch getting to play more with him. And we're farther than we are, Houston, and with my son, we're quite a bit farther now. And
lacking. Need to catch up.
Now I'm feeling like I'm actually going to finish this game with him, and I just think. I know this is dad casual. We're all dads. We all like playing with our kids, or at least the idea of that. And this is like the first time it's really come to fruition in a serious, like legit way. Like he's pretty good at the game, and I mean we are just dying laughing. I think it's just so special and fun. And if you're a dad out there, like you got to play It Takes Two with your kid when they can, because I think. It's a fun experience that no other game really shares. Like we've played Fortnite together and we've played other things together, but it's just not the same.
Nice.
I kept playing Marvel Midnight Suns. I don't really need to talk about that more. I will say the one thing I have to add is that I'm kind of enjoying the friendship simulator part.
Did you and Iron Man hit it off finally?
I hate that I'm saying that.
Hilarious.
it still is cheesy at times, but I will say it's gotten better as the game's gone longer. It's gotten less like artificial and small talk and a more like legit conversations. It's so stupid to even say out loud, but I'm actually starting to enjoy it a little bit more. I will say if you get that game and you're like, oh, this is so cheesy, all that cheesiness, I think it gets better as you keep going. And I've now gotten to like a lot of the other characters, a lot of the unlockable characters have started jumping in, and I'm having a good time.
Next thing you know, you're going to play Boyfriend Dungeon and Dream Daddy.
Dream Daddies, yeah.
I also, so do you guys know PlayStation Stars? It's like,
Yeah.
It's PlayStation's like version of like they've got quests and like, hey, try this game. Well, I was looking at it when I was waiting because Hogwarts Legacy, I got early access, but I couldn't play until 11 p.m. last night. So I'm sitting waiting for the game, even though it's fully downloaded, pre-downloaded, ready to play. I'm like, I got to play a game. We played a little Fortnite. But after Preston and the guys logged off or a little early around 10, I was like, I got an hour. So I downloaded and played a game called Axiom Verge 2. It said I would get like points if I tried it. And I was like, okay, this is a tiny game. Pretty fun, a little bit of a Metroidvania style. You're like in Antarctica, very confusing. And like, it's a mystery game too. Pretty fun. Now that I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy, I don't know if I'll get back to it, but I thought I would drop that one. Maybe someone out there could like tell me to keep going if that's a good game. If it like, because it seems interesting. The mystery seems very intriguing. I don't know. It kind of feels like Celeste meets.
Oh, it straight up looks like Metroid though.
Yeah, it's Metroid Celeste, like a pixel art Hollow Knight ish. Very kind of difficult at times. I died like several times. But there's like really not a lot of penalty for dying. You just come right back, but you have to go back to the beginning of like the last place you like saved. It's pretty fun. And then Hogwarts Legacy. And so that's going to transition us into, I want to talk about Hogwarts Legacy. And that's the first news of today. Preston and I have both put in barely a little. I mean, I played from 11 to midnight. I played 1 hour last night because I still have a job. I would have loved to have kept going. And we'll talk about that too in a second. But Hogwarts Legacy is finally out in early access, and by the time this episode's come out, should be out in the wild as fully available for everyone. And so I wanted to kind of go through some reviews, but first off, I thought I'd start with me and Preston talking about our early first hour impressions.
Yeah.
You want to start, Preston?
Yeah, so far. So as I was playing, without any spoilers here, I felt like I was in Universal Studios, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was walking through a ride queue.
Yeah.
When I was learning how to do all the different moves or the different things. I don't want to say too much, but
I feel like with the first hour, just maybe don't say the story beats, but yeah, you could probably talk about the gameplay a little. I think that's
I mean, it's just teaching you how to cast spells and how to walk around. Obviously, how to run, jump, where all the different things on how to interact with the world, if you will. Yeah. So, and then I got to the hat. What's that? Sorting hat.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and so I had connected, similar to you, Andy, connected my online account. The
like the Harry Potter fan club website.
Yeah, just to do all that. So mine was already situated, and I just answered one question. Super simple.
Yeah, definitely recommend that, because if you do that ahead of time, you can pick your house, get all those things sorted, and like that way when you get in the game, it's really easy to get the house you want. Like, obviously you can do it totally random, and like if you just want to live the Harry Potter experience where the game chooses your house for you, you can do that, or you can basically pick.
Yep. That's, and so something I did.
Who do you get sorted into?
Gryffindor.
Oh, cool.
But I could have chose anybody.
You could have. You had the option to choose if you wanted.
Yep.
I'm just curious because, like, I know like the common rooms and where you go next like changes depending. Like you are going to have a different experience than I am in a lot of ways because of your house.
I wonder if the the game has allotted like 4 times as many servers to like people that choose Gryffindor. Because I mean, it's got to be the most popular by a pretty large margin, I would imagine.
You said servers? It's not it's you're not like you're playing online. It's
I don't know what I meant.
It's a local game.
Okay, I don't know why I thought it was multiplayer.
No,
There's no multiplayer elements at all.
nope.
Okay,
Really?
Never mind.
Not that I know of. Who knows? They could have a
I haven't
secret
been
one.
paying nearly as close attention to this game as you guys have. I'm excited to play it though eventually.
One part of the game that is missing, I know this, is that there's no Quidditch in the game, and I could see that being a massive DLC, like the Quidditch DLC, and maybe even making it multiplayer online, like that being
That'd
the
be
element
awesome.
of being able to play Quidditch, because at the moment that's not in the game. Or leave that for a sequel, perhaps. I mean, there's always those things. So I've also played an hour. My first impressions, I would say, is one, I really was kind of blown away with, first off, the production value was bigger out the gate than I expected. And I'm not going to say it's as good, but there was a moment where I was like, this is like God of War Ragnarok. Like, the way it was like pushing me through like these crazy, now they were QuickTime or like, semi in-game cinematics. It wasn't like rendered cinematics, but it was like in-game moments that were pretty, I was like, there was this wild part that happens that I like was genuinely floored that they would do, because I was expecting it to be not as, I was expecting it to be a little kiddie, which it is. There's moments where you're like, this feels aimed maybe for families. Like I probably would let my son play it. But still,
So far, yeah.
But it's kind of dramatic. You very early get to meet the villain. Like I wasn't expecting that. And like, there are just some, and the spectacle of the environments. And while the fidelity of the graphics aren't near as high as like say God of War, what I just mentioned, what the scenes are really cool. Like I was like, this is awesome. So I like the theme park analogy, Preston. I think that's accurate. Especially because it kind of does so far, and I'm very early on, so this makes sense. It does feel a little linear. Like in the beginning, you're kind of forced down.
Yeah, you can only go one way.
Yeah,
really.
a pathway.
Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure it opens up from different reviews.
I mean,
I've
it's
heard.
an open world game, so hopefully.
And I really love the common room. I got sorted into Ravenclaw, and I really like that. And I'm pumped about like I was like, oh, I met several people in my house and got to like start conversations with them, and I was like, oh, so I'm going to be closer to these people because they're in my house. And you're going to be...
Sounds like you need to play a dating simulator. You're loving all these. Just hang out, talk.
Preston, it's an RPG, and I'm role playing, man. Come on, you got...
Yeah, you are.
This might be the most role play game, though. Like, it feels like you're supposed to role play it, like in a way that other games aren't.
It's fun.
Anyway, so I'm really excited. I got a lot more to go. I will say this: the combat, first impression from me. The combat was already pretty fun. I was like surprised that, because I was thinking it would get fun when like you get more spells, but like I was like, there's the part that like made me excited was, I think it's L1 or R1 triangle maybe. There's like a shield spell. Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's triangle.
Triangle. But if you do it last second, it's like a parry, and if you hold it, you like counter. And I was like, ooh, now we're getting like to like, I can like, if I have a little bit of skill, you can get a little more fancy with it. And so I'm already really liking that, and I think it's pretty fun.
It's awesome.
Cool. So I want to go down a few reviews, and maybe Houston, maybe you can give us some thoughts too about like what you think after we read these reviews. Metacritic gave this an average score of 86, and this is with, I believe, 52 reviews. I'm going to double check that real quick.
Critical reviews, not audience score yet.
51
right?
critic reviews. We don't have any audience score because it's technically still in early access. And so we've got 51 critic reviews, and it's an average score of 86 out of 100, which I know a lot of you out there are going to be like me, like relieved. Like when you're excited for a game, you know the reality is it could be a train wreck.
Could be horrible.
And listen, I know some of you out there are like, I don't trust reviewers. And I'm like, sure, absolutely. But that's, to me, the best way to know if a game is worth playing, like, or worth buying at launch. I don't like buying games at launch if the reviewers say it's bad. I usually trust them enough to wait. But so average score of 86. So IGN gave them a 90. They said this: in nearly every way, Hogwarts Legacy is the Harry Potter RPG I've always wanted to play. Its open world adventure captures all the excitement and wonders of the Wizarding world with its memorable new characters, challenging and nuanced combat, and wonderfully executed Hogwarts student fantasy that kept me glued to my controller for dozens of hours. It's certainly weighed down by technical issues, a lackluster main story, and some poor enemy variety, but even those couldn't come close to breaking its enchanting spell over me. I'll just go through these. I got two more. So I got another one which is a little lower score. PC Games gave it an 80 for PC gamers out there. Hogwarts Legacy is definitely worth it for fans. The gaming experience mainly suffers from minor technical flaws, as well as a certain tonal incoherence. However, if you can overlook this, you can expect a magical adventure with lots of attention to detail. The developers' enthusiasm for the magical world of Hogwarts shines through at every nook and cranny. And lastly, I want to give a 70 review, which is lower than the average from Games Radar. They said, Hogwarts Legacy is a solid first attempt. If Avalanche can be accused of anything, it's that the studio has tried to do too much all at once. Something was always going to give. Between the massive open world, the messy RPG economy, exciting action combat, and adventure story that wants to cast you as a hero with homework due on Monday. But you can see a world in which a sequel sands down some of the rougher edges and settles into a finer balance between the demands of an interactive experience and the lore of the Wizarding world.
Dang.
All right. That's a pretty fair spread. And not to get like too into the weeds here, but I did hear there was actually quite a few like major publications that just straight up didn't release reviews on it yet.
Yeah.
Controversy surrounding J.K. Rowling and like the transphobia stuff, and so yeah, that's an interesting take on that, to just like withhold reviews, which is kind of a weird thing because like, I mean, obviously like the devs, like almost none of them, I would imagine, hold the same views as J.K. Rowling, and they're just working at WB Games or whoever just because they think this is an awesome property to work on, and it's a really awesome game, really cool project. So
it's an interesting story that I wasn't going to bring up specifically, but I mean, now that you mentioned it, it's interesting because there's a lot of nuance to it. Like you said, the developers themselves, first off, J.K. Rowling has nothing to do with the development game at all. They wrote the story, not even the story or the script or anything.
Just her world.
However, I understand and see that she still owns the IP outright and is surely getting royalties and money from the sale of this game. And so if people feel conflicted about that, I absolutely, like, you should follow your instinct and your intuition. And that includes everyone out there, not just reviewers. But it's up to the individual, I think. And I think the developers just really cared and worked so hard on this game. So you're just going to have to make your own decision on that and see what it is. I will say that the developers included the ability to be trans. You can be a trans person in the game. So during character creation, if you want to do that, you can. And I'd be curious to know what J.K. Rowling thinks about that.
Yeah, I heard it's actually one of the more fleshed out character development systems like in the market today, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I liked it. It was good. I mean, I couldn't like super make detailed exactly, like, it's not the most detailed as far as like facial and hair and all that, but it was good.
Yeah. But yeah, this is all super reassuring. I am super happy that they gave it like a real like solid effort, that this wasn't just some like tied to a movie, like,
oh, it doesn't feel that at all.
Money grab at all. This is like its own entity. It's like the actual like more realistic Harry Potter game or Wizarding World game that everybody's kind of been wanting for years since the movies came out. And so, yeah, that has me hopeful. And then me not being an early adopter like you guys were, which is awesome that you guys wanted to kind of get right into it and get early access and stuff. But when those few bugs are fixed, I think that might be a better time for me to kind of jump into it and kind of see what it's about.
Yeah, I was hesitant to pre-order, but I just decided I just have been excited for this game, and this is my favorite hobby and interest. I don't golf. I don't do all the million other things. This is what I like to do. And I run a podcast, and I really wanted to have some thoughts on it. And so by next week, I'm hoping to have, it'd be nice to have 10.
A full review. I have it complete.
I heard it's a 30-hour campaign.
I actually heard it's more like 50.
Really?
If you're like 50, if you're taking your time and doing side quests and stuff. I think it could be 30 if you Golden Path like mainlined it, but
yeah.
But most people don't do that. Most people do not Golden Path a game unless they're trying to speed run it or something.
How long? Game Rant says 20 to 25 hours just for the main story. So there you go.
I'm interested to see on that PC Games 80 technical flaws. I wonder what. I haven't encountered any yet.
I mean, we're really early on, but I know. I was talking to some other people who have played a lot and are like level 20 or something. And I don't know how fast you level, but they said they hadn't experienced anything.
Yeah, I think from what I saw in the IGN review, it was mostly like frame rate dips, and like some of it like wasn't super smooth as it could be. Yeah,
there's some moments where like if the loading screens feel mostly non-existent, but there are moments where like you'll try to go through a door and the door won't open for like 4 seconds. And you're like, what's happening? And then it opens and it's like, oh, that was a loading screen. Yeah, I just didn't know it was a loading screen. You know what I mean? So If you experience that, that's what it is. It's just that the game's trying to catch up, which, it's... Go ahead.
I was going to say, this game's only on next-gen consoles and PC, right?
It is on PS4.
Okay, never mind.
There's no early access for PS4 or Xbox, though.
Gotcha.
It's all the early access, probably because of technical issues, was only on next-gen consoles.
Gotcha.
Makes sense.
But then everything will be out on Friday. And then I believe Switch is not for several months.
Oh, it will be coming to Switch. Okay.
Yep.
I believe that's correct.
In 720.
The Nintendo Switch release date, no, it says February 10th.
All right. Godspeed.
No. PS4, the PS4...
Xbox One.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, the PS4 and Xbox One version of the game don't come out till April 4th. And the Nintendo Switch version is July 25th.
There you go.
Oh, dang.
There it is.
They need time.
A long way.
I mean, a lot of people think I've always wondered why games are more expensive on the current gen consoles, because if anything, it's more work to downgrade the games to the old technology. You have to do so much work to compress them without losing quality.
Yeah, I think games are just getting more expensive to make.
Sure, they need to do it. So,
yeah.
Anyway, so that's enough now. I think next week we will have a much deeper dive, probably a full review on Hogwarts Legacy. Is at least a dad casual review, as far as we can get casually. So, but for now,
casually pre-order.
Correct. But for now, we're going to go ahead and move on. I want to talk about some E3 news. Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony are all skipping the show. This comes from Kat Bailey at IGN. It appears that when E3 2023 hits the Los Angeles Convention Center in June, it will be without 3 of its most important draws. IGN has heard from multiple knowledgeable sources that Xbox, Sony, and Nintendo won't be a part of E3 2023. Now, it doesn't stop them from having an online showcase of some sort in the same window. All 3 companies have an effective online showcase strategy, which gives them good flexibility to mix and match their promotional activity during, before, or after the big traditional events.
Well, that's a thing.
Big gulps, huh? See you later.
Anyone surprised?
No.
Wasn't Xbox the only one hanging on?
Yeah, because Sony and Nintendo pieced out either just before COVID.
Sony did. Nintendo did, I think, last year.
Okay.
Or they didn't have an E3 last year. Is that correct?
It was the year before, I think.
Yeah, they're just doing all of their cool own big shows, I feel like.
And almost every major developer is doing that now, too.
I mean, the virtual event is better. obviously the media outlets are going to watch, and it allows for a better, more direct and succinct, like short show for customers, and it's so much cheaper. I mean, why do E3 outside of maybe like being like a fan event, like a PAX? Which go ahead.
I don't know what the benefit is for them at this point, if anything. Like, it benefits E3 obviously way better.
Well, yeah, because 95% of their audience was still watching online, even when they had the in-person events.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. But speaking of PAX, so this year is the first year that ReedPop, which are the company that puts on PAX events, which PAX, by the way, is the Penny Arcade Expo. It basically is a fan event and, consumer event for people to come and play games, and they can go to demos and different things like that. We've gone, Preston and I have gone a few times to PAX South before it was closed in San Antonio. They're fun events. We even got to play on a Switch before it came out. But they are producing the show this year, or they're partnering with E3 to produce the show this year, which means it might become more of a fan-focused show. So to answer your question, Preston, my thought is the only benefit is for, let's say, like, the cool thing about Nintendo coming with their Switch to PAX is theoretically a bunch of YouTubers and content creators could go to the show and get their hands on a Switch, and that could result in lots of content and videos and just, people talking about it on YouTube and social media and, smaller outlets, but still that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, even some of those quote-unquote smaller outlets are almost just as big as some of the major outlets these days.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of reach.
Well, a lot of them will get, if it's just a game, they will get review codes if they have that big of a reach. But
for sure.
So I guess it just depends. I think there is a benefit to having fan-centered events, but maybe not. Maybe when Xbox, Sony, and Nintendo look at their bottom line, they say, it's cool, but I don't know.
Yeah, is it moving the needle at all would be the question.
Yeah, they're able to build the same amount of hype virtually as in person. And I would say, yeah, probably for the most part.
Yeah.
Well, I would think like the Apple mentality, right? Like, they're very all by themselves now. They used to do Macworld. It's a very similar type of thing, right? But then they're like, we run this now.
It's kind of similar. I would argue this, like, PlayStation used to have PlayStation Experience. They did it every December, which now the Game Awards is in December. The only thing is I would compare it that's a little different is I could see that each one of the companies doing their own event as opposed to paying E3, this third-party organization. Like, if you're going to do a fan show, screw the third-party organization. Like, unless you really don't want to put the planning on.
Well, that may be in the future, too, but I think, like Houston, I think this is what you're saying. Like, you're getting the same amount of views online now.
Yeah.
Post-COVID, especially. Like,
yeah, it's expected now.
So
I do think fan events create like a fan culture. It can be cool. I think it could add something to your brand. But they're not gonna if they have to pay LA Convention Center prices and work with with E3 who's price gouging them. You know what I mean? Like, that they don't want to do. I would love to see PlayStation Experience come back. I think that'd be fun.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I do agree that in-person gaming events are a cool thing, but it mostly just for the fans, not necessarily just for the press.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would say not really for the mainstream press. Yes.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. You're talking about like your influencers, your fans, just fans.
I'm talking about people like us who would come back from an event like that, and we have a small audience currently, but we would talk about all the small indies and all the different games and the first party releases and announcements. And hey, we got our hands on maybe Tears of the Kingdom, and we talk about it a little bit. Like,
I mean, something like State of Play, I know happens every once in a while, but like that'd be cool to have it as a open fan base type thing.
Yeah, especially if they had something to show off like in person, like PSVR 2 was was at CES this year, like just a few weeks ago. So I mean, they show up at places like there, which is still cool. But speaking of this, I know we have it kind of lower on our little hit list here, but maybe we should talk about what happens tomorrow. So Nintendo Direct happening tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a Nintendo Direct happening. That's Wednesday, February 8th. That's by the time this podcast posts, it's probably already happened, and you guys can look up all the news and see if what we're about to predict is correct. But
yeah, because they haven't let us know anything yet, right? It's just like Nintendo Direct tomorrow.
Oh no! All they have said is that it will include roughly 40 minutes of new info from the first half of this year.
Okay, that is pretty descriptive. I did listen to the Kind of Funny Games Daily today, and they had some pretty wild predictions. But I'm curious to know what you guys kind of have in your brains before we get to that.
I think we'll see some Zelda.
Yeah. I think that one's pretty obvious.
For sure.
Because Tears of the Kingdom is coming out in May, I believe.
The only reason I would say it's not obvious is perhaps they have their own Nintendo Direct that is only Zelda focused with nothing else. Like, that's a big enough game that it could. Pokemon does that. They do the Pokemon Directs all the time, only about those games. Like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Zelda's a way bigger. Well, that's arguable, isn't it? Pokemon is huge.
Watch out now.
Sorry, Pokemon fan base.
I could see a 50-50 split on that, whether it happens tomorrow or during its own event in like a month.
Yeah, so I think it's
happened soon.
Oh well, I will say this: there hasn't really been a full trailer. We need a real story trailer in the same way that Zelda, when they dropped that story trailer and the world went nuts. All they've really done is shown kind of like a mechanics and like hype trailer. They need a story one.
Yeah, agreed. I think there's a high chance that one gets shown tomorrow. But go ahead, Preston. Sorry.
Mario Maker 3.
Holding out for there. So that was one of the things that Kind of Funny talked about. They were like, we think we're overdue for a new Mario game.
100%. And with the movie coming out, that feels obvious.
What about the second Odyssey?
Either Odyssey 2 or another game built on the same engine, I think is a gimme. Or it could be a new 2D Mario or a Mario Maker, like a Mario Maker.
Right. I think it's either going to be a Mario Odyssey successor. It does not necessarily Mario Odyssey 2, but something in the lines of Galaxy or, those 3D Mario games, adventure games. Or I think possibly a full-blown sequel to Mario 3D World is what I was going to say.
Okay.
They did that Bowser's Fury additional one, and it sold pretty well. And I noticed in the new Mario movie, the trailer that they showed at the football game, I think 2 weeks ago, they showed the Cat Mario when he was fighting Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's a 3D World reference. So I was like, oh, cool.
That is true. It's only in that game, right? I'm
Correct.
thinking of the Tanuki suit from Super Mario World.
That was Cat Mario.
Yeah, it wasn't Tanuki. All right. Yeah. I mean, I would love to see some Mario news. I want it, but I don't know how likely it is.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see any more of the movie, the Super Mario Brothers movie?
Nah.
Do we need to? When is it coming out?
I'm not sure it's needed, but I do know the Super Bowl is this Sunday and it's slated for a new trailer. So I could see them dropping that trailer a little bit early for this.
Release date's April 7th, if y'all forgot that. I did.
They're definitely drip feeding more trailers with it's like the same trailer with just a little more unseen footage.
And Tears of the Kingdom is May 12th. Okay, I was right. It was May.
I hope Pedro Pascal's in it. I'll tell you what.
Yes.
That guy's in everything now.
Let's go.
What else?
So speaking of Nintendo, I think we should just pivot to this news. Nintendo Switch passed the PS4 and Game Boy sales numbers to become the third best selling console ever. This
Golf clap.
Boom, boom, clap, 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 clap. Everybody.
I'd like to say to Mr. Miyamoto, you're welcome.
Yeah.
We've all participated in those sales, so
Yep.
Shigeru,
If
you're welcome.
if you, the least he could do is come on our podcast.
Absolutely.
the least.
This is from Paul Tassi at Forbes, and this is just going into numbers, but a new batch of sales numbers are in, and they put the Switch up to 122.55 million sales, with the latest few million units moved enough to pass up the PlayStation 4, which has sold 117.2 million, and Game Boy Original and Color, which are 118.69 million, to become the third best-selling console of all time. This falls behind the number 2 and number 1, which are the Nintendo DS and PS2, which are respectively at 154 million and 155 million.
Oh, that close. I didn't know that.
Will it pass PS2?
Man, they would need to like come out with a new version of it. Like not like a Switch 2.
If they come out,
yeah.
Right, if they come out with a Switch HD, is that still a Switch?
Well, I was just thinking that because they were combining Game Boy and Game Boy Color. They said that number of 118 million is a combining those two. And I'm like, well, is a Switch and a Switch Pro? Would that be a combination?
I'm sure the PS2 and the PS2 Slim are lumped together.
Yeah.
So
it depends, I think, on, I guess this is all subjective, but how much of an upgrade is the Switch Pro or Switch HD or whatever you call it?
Here's what I would say. As long as they play the same games.
Yeah, as long as they don't introduce a new game media, then yes, it's the same system.
Or game exclusive even.
Correct.
Yeah. If there's no new games that you can only play on that system, yes.
Yep. That's okay to be lumped together in my
I'd
opinion.
agree.
Okay.
Because the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color, though, couldn't play the same games.
I think...
I think they could.
I think they could. It was just some of the games were in color. Actually, I don't know.
You just lose that.
I think you could play Game Boy games on the Game Boy Color. They just didn't have color.
But I meant, can you get a Game Boy Color game and put it on the Game Boy?
I don't know if you could go back that way, but...
And they couldn't be lumped together.
You know what, man?
Based on our
Yes,
theory.
you can. I just Googled it. You can.
Whoa, okay.
The dad...
It's just black and white?
All right.
Yeah, I guess so.
The dad casual lords of judgment have spoken.
Yep.
That is the rule.
It is written.
You heard it here first. Okay.
Thus saith.
Thus saith the dads.
Yep.
Man, that is super crazy though. Like I really didn't think that the PlayStation 4 would get past. I really didn't think the PS2 would.
Right.
That'd be pretty crazy if the Switch did. It's wild to think what the Switch has become by being a hybrid Game Boy and mainline Nintendo console. It's just something that PlayStation and Xbox can't do. They just don't have the handheld market, which the handheld market always gets underestimated. It's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's so awesome to have.
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
And I actually like just a little bit of a tangent here. Like I like that the PC market's starting to kind of dip into it a little bit with like the Steam Deck.
Yes.
I'm curious to see like when that really starts to get refined more and more and more, and when you can start playing like 1080p, like full on AAA titles in the palm of your hand.
Yep.
It's weird to even think of the Steam Deck as a console because like if you were to say what's actually the best selling, I'm like PC. That's the best selling game machine there's ever been. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it doesn't exclusively play games, which is why we don't count that.
Yep.
But man, pretty crazy news.
Absolutely. I don't think it's going to pass up PS2. I don't think it'll quite hit another 30 million units, but
yeah, that's a lot.
That'd be a stretch.
Yeah.
It'll get closer though, for sure.
So I've got one more news, and I'm going to go ahead and read the news. But Preston, I'm going to need you to take the brunt of this one because you've been following this news closer than I have.
I'm on their Discord, by the way. I don't know if I told y'all that.
I didn't. That's amazing. So a game called The Day Before. We've talked about it previously. It is a like post-apocalyptic zombie MMO survival game. And this is coming from PC Gamer. This is Joshua Wollens. He says, after a bizarre series of twists and turns, we finally got a full-fledged gameplay trailer from The Day Before. It opens in a new tab. Oh, what? Did someone write that?
It opens in a new tab.
Who wrote that?
There you go, reading the teleprompter too literally again.
From the day before last week. And it looked, well, pretty generic. More than generic, in fact. It felt familiar. And Twitter sleuths reckon they figured out why. They're accusing the game of copying many of its trailer shots and other marketing materials from completely different games. YouTube channel Force Gaming posted a series of clips and screenshots that drew comparisons between the day before's reveal trailer and the original showcase for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War's Zombies mode. Wow, that's a lot. I didn't realize.
That's a mouthful.
I know. Force Gaming noted that not only is the framing, composition, and coloring similar between the day before's trailer and the Call of Duty clips, they're also in the exact same order, one after the other. And it's not just Call of Duty either. The YouTuber also highlighted similarities between the day before's marketing and materials for The Last of Us, The Division, and even SnowRunner.
It's pretty intense.
It's pretty dead on.
It's crazy. Like I kind of didn't think that this was that. Like I was like, I think
that big of a deal.
Well, no, I was just thinking they're a small studio with bad communications. Like that's it. They're just they're small.
Yeah.
Just to reiterate, because there was a lot of like paragraphs that he just read. They made a shot-for-shot remake of the trailer for Call of Duty Black Ops, the Zombies mode when they released that trailer. They essentially remade it in Unreal Engine 5 to promote this game that may or may not exist.
Yeah, they also, if you look at the first 10 minutes, I don't remember who it was, so I'm sorry. This isn't my own idea. I saw it somewhere online, Twitter somewhere. But they also, from Unreal Engine, just picked things out and dropped them in without editing them at all.
That was in the same video. Yeah.
Okay, it's not illegal or wrong or anything. It's just lazy. Like,
yeah, there's an assets marketplace, kind of like
Correct.
you would for like Photoshop or whatever, like do like mock-ups of like papers and logos and stuff. You could just drop in like trucks and trash cans and houses, like fully furnished houses with all the details.
Yeah.
And it's just like $100 and here's a bunch of assets.
yep.
It's weird because like, okay, so Preston and I and Houston too are all video editors, and we sometimes when I'm trying to like improve or like I see someone's edit, I'm like, whoa, that edit was crazy. I'll like directly try to replicate it with my own footage. Like I'll be like, let me see if I can do an edit just like that with the time ramps they did. And I'll even like directly replicate it. Sometimes it's really good. And I'm going to be honest, like, so we shoot weddings, Preston and I do, and now Houston a little too, apparently. And I have like been like, well, this was really good. I'll put this out as a teaser. You know what I mean? Like, why not? And so like, I am always the type of person who wants to believe like maybe they're just time crunched and they didn't know how to put the trailer together. So they put the trailer together like this. And I'm hoping that that's all it is. And that this game is totally real and silver lining. It's real. It's just they.
That'd be great, Andy.
That's what that guy was saying from Force Gaming. That video, I watched the whole thing. He was like, they did the thing with the trailer. It's like by itself, it's kind of weird, but it's like not a big deal. It's like cool. Like they copied it. They used their own assets. It made it look cool. Like they thought it was a cool direction. Cool. They used the assets from the Unreal Engine marketplace. Not a big deal by itself.
Yeah.
They copied the logo from The Last of Us by itself. Not a big deal. But when you start piling like 30 of these like not a big deals, it becomes a big deal.
Yeah, I guess.
And it's multiple games. I mean, there's The Last of Us, like you just said, SnowRunner, The Division.
The gameplay looks like a Division ripoff.
And then,
okay, so they talked about that too. They were talking about anything that's like Unreal Engine 5 that's hyper realistic, anything like that now is going to look like the Division.
Yeah, and it's a wide third person perspective, which is kind of what the Division did, which was a little bit more unique. Yeah.
In the city type of thing.
But there were no zombies in the Division. It wasn't a zombie game.
But like you said, that's one thing, and that would pass. That would be like, okay, whatever. That's cool. But you have 10 things like that, and you're like, hold up. What's happening?
Wait a minute.
Why?
I guess for me, though, is I go like, I'm not surprised that games exist that copy 10 different games. That is not surprising to me at all. First off, if you look at any game, I can see inspiration all over the place.
I agree with you 100%.
All I'm saying is like, I'm wondering, could all of this lead to the game isn't real? That's a different conclusion that I'm not sure like
Oh, I'm in that camp. I'm in camp. This game doesn't exist over here.
I think we're totally in camp. We might hear that this game is canceled and we'll never know for sure. But yeah, we'll see.
There's again, if you would have said like they put this thing together, whatever, right? Like we had other live streams of them showing them working on it or something, I'd be like, okay, yeah, they didn't have a good video editor, or whatever. Like they just rushed to put this together. They pulled a bunch of things, but them not showing footage and then all the other things that have led up to this.
I guess people
weird,
don't
man.
show footage before you release a game though. Like I don't know. I get what you're saying, but like no game wants to drop all of its game assets until they're ready to market it, like
I don't think you need to drop all of them, but at this point I would be like, here's something.
Yeah,
like,
they're under scrutiny. It's a different situation for sure.
Yeah. I think like if Call of Duty was like, yeah, we're not dropping anything right now, it's not time.
I guess it's just
people would be like, yeah, that's cool.
They dropped this trailer is what I think this trailer was, and I think it was a rush. I think they felt the desire they had to drop something, so they rushed something. And it just so happened to be a lot of copying. I don't know. Maybe I'd love to know what the rest of you guys think out there. I think
Which camp are you in?
I'm 100% on board with suspicious. This is super weird. But I've also seen websites and brands directly copy Apple 100%. So I'm like, sometimes people just copy successful companies who have better market research people than they do. And they're like, oh, this is how they market it. Let's do the same thing. I don't know. It's crazy that such a small game is getting this much attention.
They literally could have a bomb-ass game that's copied everybody. That could be true. I don't, okay. It could be awesome.
Or it could be a really bad game that ends up being totally a copy of everybody, but done worse. I'm not even saying it's a bomb-ass game. I'm saying I just don't know if it's the doesn't exist thing, because that just seems... You know what would tip me off to that is if there was some, you can't play the game. There's got to be the money aspect. You have the, pre-order this game now.
Yeah, they haven't taken pre-orders yet.
Yep.
There's got to be because every good con, there's got to be that moment.
Yep. Try our demo, but you got to give us your credit card information first.
And then they disappear off the planet. That's right.
Yep. It's a 5-minute demo and then it's dead.
Well, guys, that's it pretty much for today on gaming. I know we're all excited to play Hogwarts Legacy and see what's coming more from the day before, but I'd like to know from you guys as dads. Houston, you had a pretty crazy week. I'm going to assume the car was one of your low points. Maybe we each could do like a high point and low point of the week.
Yeah, for sure. The car, that's life. I've had that car for a few years and it's a really cheap car, really cheap. So I wasn't expecting it to live forever, but we haven't paid for it since we haven't paid a note on it ever. We just bought it outright with some insurance money from a tree fell on one of our cars previously. So that kind of just paid for that one. So, just dealing with that and stress, and it's tax season and it's, I don't know, all the kinds of normal, just adult life things. And then everybody's been a little sick. So it's been just a crazy week. But high points. Let's see. Simple thing. We've been trying to go, during whatever, is this daylight savings time or non-daylight savings time or standard time? I don't know how you call it. But anyway, the other one that's not right now, when we have more daylight, we usually go on family walks when I get off of work. And we've kind of just been doing it anyway. I've been trying to get home as quickly as possible, and we just kind of go and then just kind of walk until it gets dark and then go home. But that's a really good time for us to kind of all decompress, and my daughter really enjoys it. She really likes being outside and watching the cars go by and crunching over leaves and stuff. And it's just a good time for my wife and I to kind of catch up, put our phones away for a bit. And just be a family, which is really cool. And it's just a really simple thing. We just go walk around a park. Sometimes we'll put my daughter in swing set and, just be humans for a little while. instead of just like worrying about work or money or cars or whatever. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not daylight saving time right now. It starts in March.
daylight savings time starts. So that's daylight savings means you're getting more daylight.
In the evening specifically.
Gotcha.
So they move it back during the winter months because it gets so dark in the mornings, and the people who work early in the morning need the daylight. And then in the summertime, the morning people have their daylight now. So they push it back.
Except for Arizona, Hawaii, and Alaska.
And now everybody has their more daylight in the evening, and they still have it in the morning when we all wake up. Normal, when the normal people wake up, Preston.
Man. Yep. What about you, Andy?
So my high points, I would actually say probably are, we had this awesome day with Noah when he was quote unquote sick, little kid, little stinker. He just threw up in the middle of the night, Sunday night, Monday morning. But he wasn't sick. I think he drank a bunch of milk before bed and it just made his stomach uneasy. I don't think he's even lactose intolerant. I just think he had too much. And we just had this cool day where like at lunch, we took him to lunch after I had my lunch hour at work and I was able to go and just hang out with him. And then, at the end of the day, we got to play not The Last of Us. It Takes Two. I don't know why I said that. It Takes Two.
A very different day.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's I don't know. It was just kind of a magical moment to have. With your oldest, you don't often have that solo time, and I think I would say like if you're a dad out there with multiple kids, try to always have that solo time with each of them, but particularly the oldest, because I think they feel neglected. I think they feel like, naturally the youngest child, especially babies, demand more attention. And and now my middle child I've had to do that with because he has a younger sister now too. So I think that was a high point. We also got to go to the Knock Knock Museum this weekend, which is like a children's museum here in Baton Rouge. We had a really good day doing that, going outside. My low point as a dad it's my middle child, Riley. We've tried to not be a family that spanks. Like, we just have never liked the idea of it. Deep down in my soul feels a little bit like hypocrisy to be like, don't hit, and if you hit, I'm going to hit you. Like, I don't like that necessarily. That's a core tenet that we don't want him to hit people no matter what. And as he gets older, there'll be lessons on self-defense and standing up to bullies and things like that. But at the moment, it's a black and white. Like, I don't want you to hit. And
right.
He just is very hard to discipline. Like, without that, and before it didn't work. But there was a moment where he was so irate and disobedient that like I just did it, like not out of anger. I stayed pretty calm, and it was a low point for me because I don't like doing it. But he like straightened up right after that. Like, there was a moment where he like freaked out, but he straightened up. And I think maybe like they say, they always say with kids, like, try not to yell so that when you do yell, they know you're serious. Have you heard that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like because we've held such a no spanking policy for so long, when I did it, it like shocked him. But he was like, it was like in the parking lot, there was the, what do you call The Exorcist? Like, his head was spinning around. It was like, I gave him time. I was patient. But like, it was.
Yeah.
It was no longer, it was the reason I think I was like, oh, this isn't just an emotional reaction. This is like, even when his emotions calmed down, he was choosing to be the way he was.
Angry.
He almost thought it was, no, not angry. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't emotional anymore.
Oh. It
was manipulative, and he just wanted to be bad.
Gotcha.
It was the first time I've ever seen that in him, honestly, because he's normally one of the sweetest kids. And listen, if anyone listen out there, I don't entirely know what I'm doing when it comes to that. I listen to a lot of parenting podcasts on how to discipline and what's right or wrong for every kid. And, I'm just failing upwards is what I'm.
Yeah, I think we all are.
So that was a low point. But a bit of a positive note that it worked. That it his behavior has been a little bit better since. So
yeah,
that's me.
I think you're doing a good job, man.
Thanks, man. It is very hard. It is.
Yep.
I will never judge a parent because my first child is so good and my baby girl is so perfect. And if those are the only two I had, I would look at parents who struggle with disobedient children and be like, get it together.
Yeah.
But now I understand that kids are different and some kids are a lot harder. And if you don't have a kid like that, maybe you were just lucky. Like, I don't want to be like, I'm not saying you're not good at being a parent. Maybe you are a savant, but it's possible that some of us are lucky too.
Yeah. So a low point for me, it's mainly me, not even the kid, but like we had a death in the family recently and we were talking about it and he asked me, what does die mean?
Wow.
Oh, okay. So I had to, explain that to a 3-year-old, which was fun.
How'd he react?
He was very sad. He didn't like that they weren't coming back. He didn't know this person, so that's good. But then we were wrestling, and he goes, "I'm gonna kill you."
He doesn't understand killing.
No. So that was funny. But yeah, that was a little difficult just as a like, oh yeah, this is part of life too, is death. So
yeah.
And then we were sitting in the hot tub, me and my boy. He loves to get in the hot tub.
Do you have it like piping hot?
It's 100, so it's not bad.
It's warm though.
Yeah, it's warm. He doesn't like it.
The bubbles, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
But it kind of hit me hard too. He was like, "I'm 3. Are you 3?" And I was like, "No, I'm 38." And he goes, "You're 38? When I'm 38, you'll be like 100." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right, buddy."
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was fun. And then like a super kind of high note, we got to take him to his first Mardi Gras parade that he like understood what was going on, and it was the puppy parade here in Baton Rouge.
Nice. Good choice.
So, he loves seeing all the dogs and all that.
It sounds like, Preston, you're finally having like, there's like a difference between like when kids can talk and when the kids can like have a conversation with you.
Mm-hmm.
And like once that conversation like it's just so cool.
It is.
Like him being able to talk about like, you're 38, what? Like, and comprehend that, and then you can talk about it. That's so cool.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah. Talking versus conversing is a big difference.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. It'll only get crazier. And those deep conversations will get like those hard conversations.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get more and more. Yeah. I mean, Noah asked me about stuff he hears in music or on the news. Sometimes he'll be like, I heard an earthquake happened in Turkey. And I have to be like, okay, yeah.
Yep.
I guess we can talk about that. I didn't want to.
Right.
With my son, who's only 8.
But those conversations usually end up pretty good. And yeah, it's still a blast. I mean, even in the hard times to be a dad, honestly.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
Good talk, guys. I like talking about us being dads. So we need to always end our podcast. I think sometimes we skip talking about that and focus on that, but that is definitely a part of our podcast that I want to keep going.
It's in the name.
It's in the name. It's in the game. EA, it's in the game.
If you pay enough.
If you pay the microtransactions.
Dang.
Well, guys, I got to get back to Hogwarts Legacy. So I am going to end this podcast now, but I thank you guys for all tuning in. Definitely, please write in. We've had a few people write in here and there, and it's always fun to get some interaction, some back and forth. And if you've written in before, write in again, ask another question, bring something up. Tell us how Preston's wrong about all of his opinions. And we're just going to go ahead and move on from there. But yeah, follow us, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Write in at dadcasualpodcast@gmail.com. Leave us a review or anything kind, and drop Houston money for his Bugatti. And without further ado, that's Dad Casual.
Peace.
Peace.